Thinking about buying an EV? Then you have probably heard this. EVs are cheap to run. That sounds simple. Until you ask, where are you charging? At home, usually cheaper. In public, sometimes much more expensive. And that gap can change the buying decision. This is Tech with Receipts. We are here to show what the charging number means and whether it works for your routine. This is not a promise that every EV is cheaper than every petrol car. It is a practical question. What does the electricity delivered to your car cost, and how many kilometers do you get from it? Then comes the fine print. Taxes, network charges, tariff timing, charger speed, parking fees, and sometimes an overstay fee. If you can charge where the car is parked, you usually have the cheapest and simplest option. That gives you the strongest starting point. If you rely mostly on public charging, the answer can still be good. But you need to check its associated cost. Do not rely on magic discounts. So the first question is not, how big is the battery? It is, can you charge where the car sleeps? Let us start with the European Union. Eurostat says the average household electricity price in the EU was about 29 euro cents per kilowatt hour in 2025, including taxes. That is useful context. It is not your bill. In the same data, household prices ranged from roughly 11 euro cents in Hungary to more than 40 in Ireland. So an EU average is a map label, not a charging quote. At home, do not look only at the price printed by your electricity supplier. For a real home charging estimate, include the energy price, grid charges, taxes, and VAT. Then allow for a little energy lost between the wall and the battery. That is why the same car can cost different amounts to charge in two homes on the same street, if their tariffs or charging times are different. Some home tariffs change through the day. That can make an overnight charge cheaper than an early evening charge, or it can make no difference at all if your tariff has one price. So do not buy an EV based on somebody else's off-peak tariff. Check your own bill, your own meter, and whether you can actually charge at those times. Public charging is not one price either. A slower charger where you park for hours is a different service from a fast charger. Speed, location, membership, and demand can all change the price. And in some places, the number beside the charger is not the whole bill. Parking or an occupancy fee can join the receipt. The EU does have one useful consumer rule here. For many publicly accessible chargers at 50 kilowatts or more, EU rules make the ad hoc energy price easier to compare because it must be shown per kilowatt-hour delivered. But this is not a price cap. Operators can still charge different prices, and extra fees may apply if they are clearly disclosed. The UK gives us a clear, dated example. From June 2026, HMRC's advisory calculation used 26.9 pence per kilowatt-hour for home charging and 54 pence for slower public charging. In that official reimbursement context, the public figure was roughly double the home figure. But this is not a consumer price promise. It is an advisory calculation for company car reimbursement. The UK example also shows why household prices need a date. Ofgem's July to September 2026 default tariff average was 26.11 pence per kilowatt-hour for direct debit customers in Great Britain, plus a daily standing charge. Your region, payment method, tariff, and time of use can still change it. The United States is even more of a reminder not to use one national price as a personal quote. The U.S. residential average was 17.3 cents per kilowatt-hour in 2025, but electricity prices differ hugely by state. So the useful comparison is not the U.S. versus Europe. It is your local home rate, your local public options, and the car you actually drive. Public fast charging buys time. That can be exactly what you need on a long drive. IEA's cross-market analysis shows public charging can be substantially more expensive than home charging, especially fast charging. That does not make fast charging bad. Fast charging is not just electricity. It is electricity plus time saved, and time saved is usually not sold at a discount. Here is the calculation that matters. Take your delivered electricity price per kilowatt-hour. Multiply it by the energy your car uses per 100 kilometers. Then add any fee that belongs to that trip. For example, a car using 18 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers costs 3.6 per 100 kilometers at 20 cents per kilowatt-hour before extra fees. At 60 cents, it costs 10.8 in the same currency. The car did not change. The charging situation did. This is where the apartment question matters. If you do not have home or workplace charging, public charging is not a backup plan. It is your normal fuel system. That is not bad. It just needs checking before you buy. If you can charge at home, do not assume every night needs a full battery. For many drivers, the useful habit is to add back the energy used that day at the cheapest practical time your tariff allows. That turns charging into background maintenance, not a weekly refueling ritual. Before you buy, make 2 small calculations. First, your likely home or workplace charging cost per 100 kilometers. Second, your likely public charging cost per 100 kilometers for the journeys you really make. And ask the first question again. Can you charge where the car sleeps? A cheap car with an expensive charging routine may not feel cheap. If the second number is uncomfortable, that is useful information. It does not mean an EV is wrong for you. It means the charger plan matters as much as the car. So is charging an EV really cheaper? At home, usually yes. In public sometimes. But when you are paying for speed, convenience, or the only charger nearby, the receipt can change fast. So check the tariff, the charger type, the car's real consumption, and every extra fee. Bring the claim, we'll check the receipt.